Hello everybody, this is Victor once more. How are you doing today? Today we are going to make a little JavaScript beginners project. I've decided to do this because last time I made a project with only HTML and CSS without touching JavaScript. So today I want to incorporate a little JavaScript so that we can see what JavaScript syntax looks like. So today we are going to make a digital clock that is going to feature minutes, hours, and seconds, and it's going to feature the day and the week, and it's going to feature the month and the year. So without wasting any of your time, let's jump into the computer and see exactly what I'm talking about. Hello everybody, here we are. Just like I said, we need to jump into the computer to see exactly what I mean. We are going to start as usual by opening our Visual Studio Code, which is going to be our code editor for today, my preference, my preferable code editor. So when I double click it, I've just opened it. And I need to create a new folder in order to start creating the file that I'm going to use to write my codes. So here I will only click on open a folder, and I will go to the desktop. On the desktop I will create a new folder, and I will give it a name of digital clock. Click on it and I will open it. Our folder is empty, so in order for us to create our files, you click here where it says create a new file, and I will just make it clock.html. I just want the name to be like that. Normally I would create it with index.html, style.css, but this is just how I want it on this particular video. I'll create another file and I'll make it clock.css. Good, that is our CSS. We are going to need today a JavaScript file, so just make app.js. So that is the three files that we are going to need, but the one we need right now is the HTML. In order to build the structure of our clock, we need HTML. So I'm just going to create a quick HTML boilerplate and give it a title of sorry. On the body, I'm going to have a div that I'm going to give a class of main, which I'm going to use to wrap all the content of this web page with. I'm going to wrap them in a div. So I'll just create the div dot main. So inside the div dot main, I'm going to have another div inside it, which I'm going to use to wrap the content, as in to wrap the time, the date, everything that is going to be visible on our web page. I want to wrap them in a div. So I'll just create a div and give it a class of wrapper. So in order to get our inside the wrapper, I will try to have an H2 element. I'll try to have an H2 which I'm going to give a class of dates. Okay, and inside that H2 I will only write inside digital clock and date. Okay, I go down to H2 and I'll have a div. This div is going to wrap the week, the date, the month and the year. So I will give it a div and give it a class of date wrap like this. And inside it come our week, which is going to be a div of its own also, and a class of week. And inside the week I need to create a span which I'm going to ID week. I will ID the span week. So here now I'll make an ID of week, and inside this I'll just write week inside it. Now we are done with our week. We go down after the week and we create a date, a div with a class of date, which I'm going to use to wrap the date, the month and the year. So I'm going to create a span and ID it date, and I'll duplicate it and change the ID of this one to month, change this one to year. Inside here I'll write date, inside here I'll write month, and here I'll write year. Good. So the next thing we need to do right now is to create another div that is going to take our time, which is time, hour and seconds, and I want to put them inside this wrapper. So I'll come under here and create another div which I will give a class of times. Inside it there will be an H2 again, which I will give a class of time, and inside that H2 I will only write time inside it, and below the H2 I can create my span for the hour, minute and second, like so. With ID, this will have ID of hour, and I'll write it hour. I'll duplicate it and write this one minute, let me write it in capital letter, and write this one seconds, as it is right now, I think our HTML is done. I only want to view it with a live server. And this is what we have. This is exactly what we have. We'll make it as small like this so that we can work on both side by side. So our HTML could give us this, and this is all we have for now. So let's switch to CSS. I would like to open the CSS by the side so that I can be seeing what I'm doing. And first of all, I would like to get some font from Google, like always. So I'll go to Google Font, and I want to get a font called Obitron. I like how it displays with numbers. So I'll just get the bold 700. Copy this and paste on my CSS. On the very top of my CSS. Here we go. So like usual, I would like to remove all the presetting by selecting the wildcard and making it a padding of 0. Padding of 0, making it a margin of 0. What is wrong with me? A margin of 0, and making the box sizing to be border box. You see that our preset and what we are doing is not working here because we have not actually linked our CSS to our file. So I'm just going to do that now. I'll go on the header and link the CSS file clock. Good. And I will go under here just above the body, and I will link my JavaScript by typing script. Source is going to be what's the name of app.js. Good. Hopefully the JavaScript also is linked, but we can check it later. For now, let's continue doing what we are doing. Ctrl B. So I'll come under here and take the main, which is right here, which is the overall, and I'll make it a width of 100% and a height of 100 view height, and I'll make it text align, center, okay, and I'll make it padding top, of 10 rem. Good, awesome. And I'll make it a background. I'm going to use image, so I'll make it a URL. And I have to find the image. I have some image on my folder for this, which I got from pexels.com. It's a wonderful place for image. I'm going to use this image. So I'll create another folder for image here, like so. And I'll just take this. I'll just take this image and drop it there, right there. Good. And I'm gonna locate the image here by typing image slash, what's the name of the image, bg dot jpeg, and here comes the image. And I'm going to give some setting to the background image, so I'm going to say background size cover to cover all the spaces it has, and I'm going to say background repeat. I'll say no repeat, and I'm going to say background position. I will say center, so that will center the image right at the center of the page. Now the next we have to locate is the overall wrapper of our content, which is dot wrapper and the dot wrapper, we are going to give it a width of 30 rem and a height of 30 rem. I'm going to give it an RGBA background because I want it to be a little bit transparent. I'm going to give it an RGBA background of this number. I wrote it down, so I already know the color that I want. 1, 2, 3 of red, 1, 3, 2 of green, 3, 1, 2 of blue, and then the opacity should be 1.8. Okay, this is what we got, you see. This is what we got. So I'm going to give it a margin of auto to center everything at the center of the page. When you expand it like this, it's centered on the page. So, and I'm going to give it a border of 3 rem solid white. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to give it a little border radius. Radius of 1.5 rem. And then I would like to position it up relative, because I want to position some content inside this absolute to get them to a position where I want them to be. You will see it in a while. So position should be relative. Good. I think we are done with that. So another we need to locate right now is the h2, yeah, the dot date. We're going to give it a position of absolute. We're going to give it a top of negative 40 pixel. Okay, and we are going to give it a top of negative 40 pixel to get it where we want it to be, and give it a left of 17%. Not totally, 19%. %. Good. It's not really in the center. I want it to be in the center. Give it 25. 28. Yeah, this can be set to be in the center, but we picked the wrong I picked the wrong one, so I'm gonna give this dates. Sorry, my bad. This is the one I want on the top there, and I'll give it 17%. So I have a class of a date and I have a class of dates. It's a little bit confusing, man. Okay, so I don't have the time to think for the best class names and ID names to give this thing, so I just give it what came to my mind, but it's a little bit conflicting with each other, with dates and date, but I just hope you understand what I'm doing and where I'm coming from. So now we need to locate the date wrap. That's the one we need to locate right now. So the date wrap is also a class. Date wrap. And what do we do with it? We give it a width of 100%. And a height. We give it a height of 60%. Give it a height of 60%. We are not seeing what we are doing because it doesn't have a background yet. So I'll just make it a background of black. Yeah, here we go. And I'll make it a color of white for the object inside to be visible. And I'll make it a border bottom because I want to have a white border in the middle here that will divide it, the top and the down portion of this file. So I'm going to give it a border bottom of 3 rem just like the parent, solid white. Yeah, here we go. And I'm gonna make it a padding top to bring these things down. I'll make it a padding top of 1 rem. Good. I think we are done with that. We need to look at our week, which is a class of week. Dot week, and we need to give it a width of 100% and a height of 3 rem. Okay, good. And a padding of top 0.5 rem and left and right 0, top and bottom 0.5, top and left, right and left 0. And I'll give it a font weight of bold to make it stand out, and I'll give it a font size of 1.5 rem. 0.5 rem. Does it look good? Yeah. Let me make it a little bit 1.67. Yeah, 1.7 rem. And I'll display all of them on uppercase, so text transform uppercase. Good. Now is the time for our date. Dot date. Dot date, we are going to say we give it a width of the same 100%, and we are going to give it a height of 5 rem, and we are going to give it a font weight of bold also. I'm trying to be a little bit fast because I don't want this video to take so much time, so I'm trying my best to make it a little bit fast forward in a way. And I will give it a font size because we are going to waste some time when it gets to JavaScript. 1 point rem also. This is outrageous, I think. Let me make this one 1.5 rem. You can change it later when it doesn't look good. And I'll make the week a font family of Obitron, and then a fallback of sans serif. I think I have to copy this Obitron again. It's not working. Take away the style. Good. So do we still have any setting to make here on the date? I give it a font size of 1.5 rem, and I will also make it a font family like the others. Vitron and the sans serif. And I will give it a margin on the top side of 2 rem. Yeah, to place it more down, and I will give it a display of flex, because I want to see a gap among I want to see a gap around them. So I will use display to make it flex. I will align the item center, and I will justify the content to be spaced evenly. Yeah, good. That's exactly what I want. So let's go further quickly and locate our times, which is dot times. So we are going to say that we give our time a width of 100% and a height of 10 rem. Okay, give it a font size of 2 rem. Okay, awesome. A font size of 2 rem and a font weight of bold. And then we'll give it a font family of Obitron sans serif. We are going to give it a padding top of 4 rem. Now let's reduce the font size to 1.4 rem or 1.5 rem. I will increase later when the need be. The padding, we just gave it 4 rem, and then I will make the background to be corresponding to the top one, which is a background of black, and I'll give what is inside the color of white. There we go. So the last but not the least is going to be this H2 inside, which we gave the class of time, and I'm going to display it absolute, position it absolute, sorry. Okay, and I'll give it a top of 12 rem. And I'm going to make it a color of black. Good. And I'll make it a font size a font size of 1.4 rem, 0.5 rem. How is it looking? Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I think it's okay. And I'll give it a left of 40% to be in the middle. Good. And that is it. This is our CSS. We are done with CSS. We need to move ahead fast right now to JavaScript. Maybe we'll come back to CSS later to make some minor settings, but let's move to JavaScript now and see what we can do with it. So I open my JavaScript also by the side. So JavaScript, I have to open my console to see if my JavaScript is working. Clear this. Console.log. Hello world. Good. Our JavaScript is connected. So what we are going to do here is that we are going to try to use an already made function in JavaScript to display the time in JavaScript on our own pages here. Okay, we need to bring the time. So let me show you what I mean. For example, when you say console.log hello world, for example, string, it displays it here. So there is also in JavaScript what you can use to display the date and the time and the hours and the months and the year. So because JavaScript have this function in it already that displays this, so your duty is to bring it and display it wherever you want to display it. So if I console.log, first of all I want to create a function. First of all I want to create a function. So I want to first of all create what they call a function in JavaScript. So I will create it to the syntax function, and I will give my function a name, which is going to be digital clock. Okay, that is the name of my function. And every code I'm going to write, I'll try to put them inside this function. So right now, I want to connect this my function to what they call new date in JavaScript. So for example now, if I say constant, that is variable, I'm creating a variable now, writing complete date should be equals to new date. Okay. Console dot log complete date. When I come down here and call the function by saying digital look at here. This is the new date. This is the complete date right now. This is Tuesday, January 26, 2021. This is 3:42, 15 seconds Central European Standard Time. So we need to bring all these functions to display them in every spaces that we have on this our clock that we just did build now. So in order to do that, I need to create a lot of variables and a lot of arrays. So for me to create a variable, I will first of all create the let hours, that is connecting all of them, hour, date, week, and each and every one of them to this new date. So I'll create hours equal to complete date, date dot what they call get in JavaScript, get hours. Okay, is this a little bit complicated? Then let minute equals complete date dot get minute. This is what we are going to do for each and every one of them. And we say let second equal complete date dot get seconds. I will say let date equal complete date dot get date. And I will say again let year yes equal complete date dot get full year. I want to get the whole full year, so I will say get full year. So now we have the hours, the minute, the second, the dates, and the year. When we console.log them right now, they will start showing here. So for example, when I say console.log hours, comma, that's 3 p.m. 15 minute 45 second, and so on and so forth. Let me not waste our time doing this. So the only thing we don't have right now is our year, our months. And for us to create our month, that is January, February to December, we need to create it in an array. So his own syntax is going to be different. We will say let months equals new array. We're going to create the array here, and we're going to make it a string of January, comma, and we'll just duplicate it. When we console.log this month now, console.log months. This is January, February, March till December. We got it. So, but we need to combine this. We need to assign this array to a single variable. So we'll say let new month equal month. Okay, we have assigned it, and then this bracket to assign all of them to the complete date dot get month that we're supposed to. Good. And this is the same thing we need to do for our week. So we assign this like this because JavaScript is counting from 0. So this January is in the place of 0. For example, to show you now, if I console.log this month, okay, it's going to bring each and every one of them. But when I say 3, it's going to be April. 2, it's going to be March. 1, that is their positions, is going to be February. And when I log 0, it's going to be January. So they count from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 here. It's important that you know this. So we are going to create weekday. Select week days equal to new array. Okay, and we're going to create it easily by giving a string of Sunday, comma, and duplicating it. No need to console.log it, but when I console.log it, it will give me the same string that is here. So I need to convert them to a single variable by saying let weekday be equal to weekdays equals to weekdays, and assigning all of them to the complete date dot get day. Syntax. We are having a syntax error. Unexpected token. Let weekdays equals new array. Okay. Weekdays. We have let weekday equals yeah, I got it. I went to put the semicolon inside the bracket. So I'm going to do away this console now, because we need to display all what we have here right now on our web pages, on everywhere they are supposed to be. So I will start by sorry, I can use two ways. I can use document.getElement by ID, and I'll locate their IDs here. Or I can use the modern way, document.querySelector, and I'll give them the ID, and I can locate each and every element that is in this place. So let me use document dot query selector, okay, with bracket, and I will duplicate it into how many do we need? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Yeah, let me duplicate it into 7 places, making it a little bit faster, please. 2 3 4 5 6 7. Good. And the first one I'm going to locate, document.query selector will locate the string of ID of week. This shows that I've used my JavaScript file to locate this week. This week I gave it, this span I gave it ID of week. So when I do query selector ID of week, this hashtag stands for ID. It means I'm connecting to this HTML file, to this ID. So I'm going to say dot inner HTML. That is, locating inner HTML means everything that is inside that span, that is inside this ID, the element, any value that is there, I want to change it to a weekday. So you see now we got Tuesday here. Our Tuesday is here. We need to be Wednesday. The Wednesday will be here. This is what I'm going to do to each and every one of them. So let's go. Here, the next I will select is the date. Okay. So I gave it also ID of date, an ID of, I have to be seeing these IDs, an ID of date, yeah, ID of date, and I'll say dot inner HTML equal to dates. Here we are, 26. The same thing goes here. I'm going to fast forward this so that I don't have to, I'm doing the same thing, so let me just fast forward it, please. So here they are. You can see all of them are displaying. When I refresh it, the seconds is changing every second. So this is how it's going to look. But of course, we need to do something else. We need to, if you watch here, for example, when this date gets back to 0, start by from 1, they will only have 1. I think you can't see this now because, yeah, see 1600. Okay, then 7, 10. So I want to make it to be displaying when it is less than 10. When it's lower than 10, I want it to display, to add it 0, so that it will be, for example, 01, 02, 03, 04, until when it gets to 9, 09, it will start from 10. The 0 will go away. So in order to do this, we need to use an if statement. So we are going to create some if statements here, and we are going to say if our hours, okay, is less than 10, let hours equal to a string of 0 plus hours. You understand what I did here? Anytime this hour start counting and it became less than 10, this hour 0 that we added here will be added to it dynamically, and it will start counting from 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3 until 9. Then the 0 will go away and it will start counting from 10. You will see this in a real life soon. So I'm going to duplicate it into 4 places. I'm going to duplicate it to 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And I'll change this to minutes. Minute. And I'll change this to second. Second. And I'll change this to dates. And dates. So you see it's already added 0, 5, 0, 6, 0, 7, 0, 8, 0, 9, 10. So this is exactly how we want it to be. So, and if you notice here, nothing is dividing them in between each other. So it's just looking like 160322. So, but we need to divide them with something inside it so that it will look like really a digital clock or electronics watch. So what we have to do is that I have to add something to the minutes and to the second. So I will say let inner HTML be equal to a string of colon, okay, plus our minute. I'll give it a space inside. Good. And I'll do the same thing here, a string of colon with a space plus the second. So they have added it here. Now I want to bring back my CSS because I don't like how the time is looking. Where's my CSS? And I will increase the font width to 1.9. 1.5. Font size, I'm going to increase the font size here times. I will increase the font size to 1.9. Okay, let me increase it to 2 rem or 2.8 rem. Yeah, it's bold enough. I want it to be as bold like this as possible, so standing out. So we go back to our JavaScript to complete this project. I take away this function call. Alright, so if you notice what is going on here, everything is working perfectly when I refresh the page, the seconds is counting, everything is counting. When you expand the page, it is absolutely responsive. So the background is extracting, reducing and expanding as it's supposed to be. So everything is perfect. The only thing that is not perfect right now is that we need to refresh the page in order for the timer or the counter to count, and this is not supposed to be so. There is something they call set interval in JavaScript. This is what we are going to use to set the interval so that it will be counting automatically and changing everything, the week, the date and the month and the year dynamically the way it's supposed to be. So we take out this digital clock and we set an interval outside the function set interval. Okay, when we set an interval, we give it a value, and the value is going to be this hour function, which is digital clock, and we add it 100 so that they are counting per second. So this is it, they are counting automatically now, and it will be updating when it gets to tomorrow. Tomorrow will be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday again. That is how the date will be changing until February finish. January finishes, it will change to February, and so on and so forth. As long as this code lives, this is how it will keep working 247. So this is the end of the video today. If you have followed this video till this very moment, I want to say thank you, and I want to encourage you to share the video however you want it. Share it in all your social media if possible, because I'm going to be making more and more videos like this, and a time will come when we are going to organize some well-structured tutorials in this channel so that we can learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and be on our way in becoming a front-end web developer and trying to get into learning how to code, how to use JavaScript and all the programming languages. When you love it, I tell you, it is a nice thing to know. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.